guess just we'll start with Rob. Season starts tomorrow. Just kind of what's the excitement level for the team?
It's always exciting to step on the floor with my team. It's just, this is my last year, so it's just exciting to just know, like, just looking back on where I've came from, just this is the first game. So, and I want to do it with nobody else besides this team. So, I'm just excited overall.
Kirk, it's a question for you.
Yeah, no, I'm super pumped. We've been going at it since the summer. A lot of practices, a lot of long days in the gym. So now we get to, go into the game and see it play out. And I'm really excited about this team. We have a lot of dynamic players that I'm excited to see on the court. So, yeah, I can't wait.
For both of you guys, this is such a new team. I think there's a dozen new guys. Does it feel, I don't know, like you guys are a part of the same team that you were a part of last year? Or does this feel almost like an entirely new thing with there being so many new guys?
With new guys, it always feels like a new team with the transfer portal and things like that. But I feel like the brotherhood is the same. Last year we came in, new team. I feel like we mended. We made a brotherhood. Still keep up with them guys to this day, and I feel like it's the same way with this team. Since day one, we found a way to mend together, become a brotherhood, become a team, become brothers on and off the floor. So I feel like it's just a different dynamic, just different people. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a different team, and we have different players, a lot of different play styles, but I think Lutz has done a really good job of setting the culture and the tone of, what Cowboy basketball really is, and he's brought that over from this past year to this year. So I see that, but different players, I think we're going to play a little bit different than we have.
Talking with the new guys, they all said that first practice was rather eye-opening, especially the Euro guys, just about how difficult it was. You guys have obviously been through this before, so were you kind of interested going in? Like, I wonder how these guys are about to handle this. What was that like?
I was definitely interested because that shows you a lot early. It shows you what people are made of, especially with a coach-less practice. It's not the easiest thing to do in the world. I had already gave them some warnings, so I kind of put them on game before we actually had to step in there and actually go through the practice. But just to see how they responded, to see how they pulled through, and we pulled together and we got through it, and day by day we got better. So, yeah, like I feel like we did a good job.
Obviously, I didn't play basketball, okay? But in my day, you were coached hard. There were a lot of times I thought my initials were MF, okay, instead of RA. But I'm going to say this, and a lot of coaches won't coach that way anymore. But how do you adapt, and how do you start understanding with a coach like Coach Lutz that, okay, it's tough. He's not always got the kindest things to say, but he's saying it to help me. At what point do you cross that threshold and say, okay, it is what it is, but I know he's trying to get me better?
I feel like I've been blessed to be coached by a lot of coaches. So I've had coaches that change my initials, and then I've had ones that aren't so bad at it. So I've kind of like learned how to adjust to the coaching style. Even coming out of high school, I experienced a lot of different coaches. I experienced the old school and the new school way. And it's just a matter of taking in what he's trying to tell you versus the tone of what he's telling you it in. Retaining information and not the tone of the message.
Do you find yourself being closer after you've been coached by him and you go back and now it's a different relationship? Find yourself closer with some of the ones that coached you old school? Or not? Be honest. That's cool.
I definitely. I think it's the same. I think both of them. I think it's just a way of coaching. I think people do things different. People were taught different ways, and I feel like it's not just one way to skin a fish. So it's just different strokes for different folks. So yeah, I don't think it's that one way of coaching makes me closer to you than the other way. I think it's just more about the character and the type of person that you are. That's what really brings me closer to people.
How have you adapted to Coach Lutz's style?
Yeah, I've actually answered this a lot. He coaches very hard, and the coaching staff coaches very hard, but one thing I genuinely appreciate is, yes, they yell a lot, yes, they'll get after you, but it's always with a purpose. They're never just yelling to yell. And so once you get past that, and you can see, okay, like, yes, he's correct. Yes, I do need to help over. Yes, I didn't block out. And you can get past the yelling. Like, rarely, I can't even remember a time where he's just yelled to yelled. Like, there's always been a purpose. And same with our assistants. That's one thing I appreciate about here a lot.
Who rides your rear end more, your wife or Coach Lutz?
Oh man, probably my wife. Yeah, she. Did you see my black eye I had a week ago? No, I'm just kidding. I got that from practice, but.
I didn't get to see the SMU exhibition, but I thoroughly watched the Auburn one. Coming out of the 2 exhibition games, what made you feel the most confident about this team that you learned in those 2 games? And what's your biggest concern after those 2 games? For both you guys.
The most confident is I feel like we have a lot of bodies. We have a lot of players that can go out there and play. I feel like we all be locked in. I feel like we're together. I feel like it's really like a brotherhood. It's not a lot of pointing the finger. It's not a lot of you did this. It's kind of like we did this. This is what we need to fix. And I would say the thing that I wouldn't say it concerns me, but what we need to get better at and just be more consistent with it is just like the overall defensive end, just being able to communicate, rotate, just trusting your teammates to be in their right spot so you do your job. I feel like that's the thing that we have to just be more consistent at. We do it in spurts, but it's just doing it for a full 40 minutes, and I feel like that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, last year we had a lot of ups and downs, and when we were up, we were really up, and then when we were down, we were really down. And I haven't really seen this with this team yet. Yeah, we went to SMU, and we let that one slip, but our team didn't really fall too much in the locker room. I thought we were all pretty solid, and we kind of bonded together. So I appreciate that a lot. That's one thing I can see from this year to last year. And just kind of what Rob said, we're still kind of new to the system. So just getting everyone established on the court and knowing exactly where everyone should be and just that trust factor can be a little bit better.
One more for you guys.
Kirk, how did this opportunity sort of come available for you? Were you your year off? Were you here? What sort of just take me through your journey?
Yeah, so I'm from Yukon, Oklahoma, and then I went to Troy University in Alabama for 2 years under Scott Cross, and then I decided to hit the portal, and I ended up deciding just to come here to be a student. My now wife went here, my older sister went here, and so I had some ties to the university. And so I was in a fraternity. I'm part of Sigma Chi. So I was just a student. I was playing intramurals. I actually played Brady Price in intramurals in the championship game, and he's on staff now. And then with the whole coaching overchange, I was able to get in touch with some of the coaches, had a lot of different meetings and interviews with them, and then the opportunity came where I was able to, join the team, and it's been awesome.
Did you have a crazy intramural stat line? What was that like?
It was pretty good. I mean, you don't play from the college three-point line, so you play from that close three-point line, so it was probably at least, 5 threes a game.
Alabama, I mean, you came in big late. I mean, they needed everybody for that ball game.
Yeah. No, it was you're a little stiff on that bench, been sitting for a while, but you got to step up to the occasion, and
It's fun to be a part. I thought the game in Alabama, the one over Auburn, man, that had to be. Y'all had to have a fun trip home from that.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
That was cool.
Yeah. Great trip back home.
Yeah.
It's always a good trip when you can get a win.
From a motion offense standpoint and a philosophy standpoint, what have you brought from working with Coach Schmidt that has helped Coach Lutz? Any little nuances? Because I think anybody that knows college basketball knows how good Coach Schmidt is.
Yeah, I got to tune into the Bonnies earlier today. They got a win, but I think some of it overlaps in just terms of ball and body movement, right? Every offense kind of tries to do those same things. We don't use as many ball screens, I would say, in our motion offense here. Coach Schmidt used to like to run a little bit more ball screen motion, but just in terms of preparation, right, I think there's a ton of overlap between both coaches, between Coach Lutz and Coach Schmidt in terms of different ways to attack the defense. And, offense, the good thing about being on the offensive side is defense can't be right. If they're trying to take away one thing, there's a counter to it, and just trying to present Coach Lutz with some different ideas and things that I learned from Coach Schmidt as well, and different ways to attack what we'll see defensively. So, that's kind of what I've tried to do so far on the offensive side, which has been fun.
So with that in mind, when you're trying to take a brand new roster and teach motion, what are the challenges with that? Are there any shortcuts you can take without saying too much that really helps smooth out that process?
I mean, we got good players. It makes everything a lot easier, So we got a ton of talent and guys that can really put the ball in the basket. So that makes it really easy, I think. In terms of getting them all to share the basketball because they're all so capable and gifted offensively. I think that's another part of it in the motion offense, just getting the ball reversed and getting it touching both sides and allowing guys opportunities to go make a play off the bounce. Like I said, we have a number of guys that can do those things. So just giving those guys opportunities to make plays off the bounce and then getting them to understand when you draw two, let's make a play for the next guy. A lot of those guys are coming from places where they were either the leading scorer on their previous team, or second leading scorer. So that was their primary role. I think just getting them to understand sharing the basketball and getting the ball swung has been something that we've been harping on early here in the season.
Robert said one of the strengths coming out of the two exhibitions he thought was having so many different bodies. Mm-hmm. And that's got to be fun for you as a coach, especially with motion offense. Yeah. You got different body types, different mentalities, and now you're the puzzle for you is fitting the right guy into the right place inside that motion.
Absolutely. I mean, that's part of being a coach. That's one of the best things about being a coach is getting the roster together and kind of putting guys in the best positions to make plays out there, So I think, like I said, with the amount of firepower that we have offensively, it's a great problem to have a bunch of guys that can go create for themselves, which in turn creates for others. And like I said, just getting them to understand that, hey, you might have been able to or had to take those contested shots at other places when you got good teammates all around you like we do here. Just being able to get the ball kicked out to the perimeter and maybe making that one more pass if it's necessary, whatever the case may be, whatever it calls for. But just understanding that you got guys that are capable around you that can make plays.
You mentioned Coach Schmidt like to maybe do a little more ball screens in his motion offense. Mm-hmm. I love screeners. I love guys that are willing to set that good screen. Yeah. Have you found who are the best screeners on this team? Guys that'll set a pick.
We got some big bodies, man. Parsons a really good screener. You got Millie who's back, who's a really good screener. Rob does a great job of screening. So we got some selfless guys on the front line that will put their body on the line, and our guys got to make sure they finding those guys and keep them happy, man. So they come out and set those good screens for them. But it's been really good so far.
Go ahead, Mark.
How does a college football player end up as a Division I basketball coach?
Man, basketball was my first love. Growing up in Boston, that's the staple back home. So, that was what I played majority of my life. And then when I got to college, I obviously switched over to just football full time. And then following graduation, I stayed in touch with one of my coaches that was coach at prep school, Jesse Bopp, who's down at Florida International now. Man, we've had a great relationship, and I got into the AAU stuff early, just working in my community, and then kind of building it up from there. And then had an opportunity to go to Putnam Science for 5 years, and we've had a couple guys on last year's team, Abu Usman and Arturo Dean, that both had the opportunity to coach at Putnam. We've put a number of guys from Putnam to the next level, and then after 5 years at Putnam, got the opportunity to join Coach Schmidt's staff at Bonaventure for 2 years, and that path has led me here to Oklahoma State. So it's been a fun ride. But I get that question all the time, man. Like, football guy coaching Division I basketball, like, how's that work? So sometimes your brain, to me, works better for other sports. You might be able to be a better player in one area, but my brain, processes basketball a lot better than football. Man, if you asked me to draw up a football play right now, we wouldn't gain a yard. I'll tell you that much.
We need to talk sometime. I need help from you.
Do the skills of being able to change speed and direction as a running back carry over, especially to the motion offense? Are there things that carry over? I mean, in terms of some of the things you have to do?
I would say it's very different in a lot of ways. I think the things that kind of overlap, obviously, is any team sport, right, is just the connectivity that you have to have on both ends of the floor and understanding that if we got on a basketball floor 4 guys working together and one guy breaks down, right, that can screw up a whole play or the defensive side of it. And the same thing with football. Like, I think that's part more translates than anything is just understanding how connected the unit has to be and understanding, like, everybody has to work as one, right, because if one guy breaks down, everything goes awry. So I think that's kind of more so what translates from one sport to the next.
Ben's still working his way back, obviously, but I imagine you're pretty familiar with him. Just what can Oklahoma State fans expect for him sort of moving forward?
Ben is a hard-working guy. I know it's killing him right now being on the sideline, but he works his butt off, really rebounds the basketball at a high level, scored, I think, over 1,500 points during his time at Putnam Science. So you're going to get a kid that plays hard every single night and rebounds really well. Another guy, like we were talking about, that loves to screen. He's a big body, so he's going to take up a lot of space in the lane and impact shots at the rim because he is so long. He's not the most vertically athletic, but again, the length of his arms and his timing around the rim allows him to impact shots. So he's going to be an everyday guy, as he was in practice before he got hurt, and then he will be the same way once he's back on the floor for sure. So I think fans got a lot to be excited about with him.
What stood out about this opportunity at Stillwater? I imagine it's not easy leaving the Northeast whenever you've been there a while. What stood out about this opportunity?
Coach Lutz and I had built a relationship over the past few years. I initially interviewed for him when he was taking the job at Western Kentucky. He's a good man and he's an honest person. Those things initially is what stood out about me, to me about him. Excuse me. But also just the tradition here, the history of Oklahoma State basketball. Being in the Big 12 is one of the best conferences every year in the country. And then obviously just a plethora of options on the roster in terms of offensive firepower and their capability on the defensive end. So obviously just having a chance to not only move up in level, but also having a team that you feel like can win and a program that can win and group that cares about basketball. Basketball is not a priority, throughout the country at every university that you kind of go to. So just knowing that there is a tradition and a fan base that wants to see you win, I think is huge in any job that you take.
You mentioned earlier making sure the ball keeps moving. I think it was maybe Mackay last week said, as long as we don't play hero ball, we're really good on the offensive end. How do you sort of take these guys that were the leading scorer, were used to having the ball in their hands? Is there a point where that switch flips permanently, do you think? How do you get there?
Yeah, I think they've gotten to know each other a lot better, right? And when you're competing against each other every day, you gain sort of respect for the person across from you to say, damn, this guy's really good too. Like, I can make the pass to him and trust that he's going to go make a play with it. Like I said, where at some of their previous stops, it might not have been the case. They felt like they had to take those contested shots or be the guy to score 25 every night. Just knowing and battling against each other every day and just, gaining respect for one another, just to understand, like, the guy across from me and next to me is working just as hard as me and also as capable as I am. But we just got to remind those guys and, giving each other those opportunities to make plays for one another. I think that is huge, but it hasn't been a battle. They don't fight it. Like I said, I think it's just kind of been a natural kind of progression where they understand, like, hey, if I move the ball, then this guy's going to knock down shots. I got guys all around me that are capable. I get the ball inside. It's going to end up in a basket. It's good for the team. So we got a bunch of guys that care about each other and care about winning. So that's kind of worked itself out pretty naturally.
The season starts tomorrow. I guess just sort of what's the excitement level around the locker room?
Yeah. If you're not excited about this, something's wrong with you. Another basketball season, and obviously year two comes with it. In my opinion, a lot higher expectations, and that's the way it should be. Is that we should have high expectations, and we should embrace those. So it's exciting, very exciting.
How much, I guess, unknown is left at this point? With you've got a whole new team. How much are you still looking to find out about this group, do you think?
Oh, yeah, it's a day-to-day deal. We're nowhere near a finished product, and, I learn something new about the team. I learn something new about the players individually each and every day. So, yeah, I would assume that this happens all year long. This is just the new norm. We should get used to it.
Do you have to modify at all how you teach motion when the rosters are in flux as much, or you just do it similar?
Dave asked questions this year.
Well, I knew how much you like the sweaters, so I want to make sure that I wore one so that you would. Yeah, I wanted you to see my sweater.
Yeah. The basics of motion is still the same, right? And so we still teach it the same. With this group and with each team, you're going to have different learning styles, so you have to kind of adjust to that. I was really disappointed in our motion at SMU, and we've tried to spend a little bit of time on it here, over the last week. the problem is that my guess is Oral Roberts will play some zone, and that obviously will throw a wrench in that. But motion is great against teams that play like we do, and when you play against teams that switch, which SMU switch some off the ball, A&M switches some, now you have to obviously modify. It's a little different. You're not setting your screens, you're slipping your screens, and so that slows down the learning curve a little bit.
We talked with Kirk and Rob. How did Kirk sort of get on your radar? He sort of explained it from his perspective to us, and then what led to the decision to retain him? I imagine you maybe didn't have to going into this year. What led to you wanting him to come back this year?
Yeah, I mean, number one, he's a fantastic human being. He's a good basketball player. And a great teammate. So I wanted him on the team. It's just, NCAA rules are a little bit different now. You have 15 roster spots, so you have 15 scholarships. Excuse me. Now, Oklahoma State's a little different because they don't provide us with 15 scholarships. They give us 13 scholarships, and then if I want to use my revenue sharing money to pay somebody to basically go to school, then I do so. And so as we got down to the wire, and you it's bad to say, but you start looking at, okay, I want another guard, and do I go try and sign a high school kid that I know nothing about, or do I get a young man from overseas that I know nothing about, or do I take a transfer that I know nothing about, or I've got this young man here on the team that's a fantastic human, a fantastic teammate. He wants to come back. Just made a lot of sense.
We also talked with Coach Valentine, addition this year. Just what led you to bringing him on the staff?
I've known Dana for a while. Obviously, we've had some players even here from Putnam Science, but that's not really, Dana wasn't necessarily connected to them. But I've known him for a while and have always admired his work ethic. I think he's a good basketball coach. He's a good human being. Works really, really hard at the recruiting, which is what I wanted out of that position. So it was a easy decision for me.
He said he interviewed at Western for you as well. What made now the right time?
Well, Western Kentucky was the timing was a little bit different. And he had a good job, right? And so it just made more sense. I mean, St. Bonaventure's a very good job. Mark Schmidt's a good coach, but the opportunity to coach in the Big 12 versus Conference USA versus the A-10, it's a little bit different deal. So it just made more sense here.
What are you sort of expecting from Oral Roberts?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I reached out to Corey and said, hey, man, I remember how it's like, in your first night, your first home game, you want to talk, holler at me. And he said, oh, Coach, we're good. We're going to keep it to a minimal scout prep. And, we'll be there to play and look forward to playing. So there's not much available. He's a first-time coach. And they had an exhibition with, I think it was called Central Baptist, which we've watched. But beyond that, I mean, they made 19 threes in that game. They rebounded the ball extremely well. They overmatched their competition. They did have a close scrimmage with Abilene Christian, but there was no video available, although the coach at Abilene Christian and I have been friends for 25 years, so we talked a little bit. But you're going into it worrying more about you than you are worrying about Oral Roberts and what they do. We've got to concentrate on us.
You've talked in the preseason about defensively this team has room to grow. Where is that going into the year?
We're still a work in progress, brother. We've got a long ways to go on the defensive end. We'll be good for periods of time, and then you may look and say, wow, they just shot a free throw and gave up a transition basket on the other end, not because we don't get back, but we kind of halfways get back and we don't communicate and get matched up, and just it'll be mind-blowing to you at sometimes. So we've got to become much more of a cohesive unit on that end, and we've got to be more diligent just in terms of concentrating on winning the game through our defense and not our offense.
using assistants as essentially like offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators. Has that been happening a long time, or at what point has that started to become a trend in college basketball?
Yeah, I think Brad Stevens might have been the first one when he was at Butler. I don't really know, to be honest with you, anybody that had done it prior to that. Brad's the first one that I knew that did it, and then we obviously did it at Purdue. So Brad's a pretty smart individual, so it begs to listen or to at least investigate what he's doing and see if it works for you and your program.